welcome to another Meema Makes tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these mini popcorn flower granny squares. I'm going to show you all the stitches you need, including this super cute popcorn stitch that makes those 3D petals. The written pattern for this square is linked in the description, and there is a left and a right-handed version, so make sure you're watching the right tutorial. My tutorials are in US terms, but I will refer to UK terms as we get there. Right, let's get started. So I'm going to be using 3 colours of yarn for this square, but you could just use one if you prefer. The first step is to make a slip knot. I would recommend using this method to make a slip knot rather than an actual knot, because we're going to be using our first chain instead of a magic ring, but you could use a magic ring if you prefer. So put your hook to the side of your working yarn and pull out, and then rotate your hook 360 degrees to make this twist. Then chain 2, so chaining, we yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. So I've got 2 chains just there. So into this first chain, I'm actually going to do the whole of my first round instead of a magic ring. And because we've used that special method of making a slip knot, if I pull this yarn tail, you can see that first chain starts to tighten, but we can also loosen it up like this. And that's what we're going to use instead of a magic ring. You could use a magic ring if you prefer that method. So I'm going to make 8 single crochet, that's if you use US terms, or 8 double crochet if you use UK terms. So you're going to put your hook into that space we've just made, and then yarn over and pull a loop through that space, then yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do this 7 more times, so put our hook into the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Just going to pull up some more yarn. So put your hook into the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Put your hook into the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Notice how I'm crocheting over the top of my yarn tail as I do this. This is because at the end I can pull on my yarn tail and it will cinch this central circle closed neatly, just like on this square here. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, so we need 4 more. So I'm going to put my hook into the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, hook into the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, put my hook into the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, put my hook into the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So I think I've got 8 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 8 stitches. So I'm going to pull on this yarn tail and that cinches together that circle nicely. So to finish off this round, I'm going to make a slip stitch under both of those loops of my very first stitch, just there. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through that stitch and through the loop on my hook. And I'm going to cut my yarn and with my hook pull that yarn tail through that slip stitch we just did, and then give that a nice tug to tighten it, and that's fastened off that colour. So that's round 1 finished. So I've got my next colour yarn and I've pulled up a tail. So I'm going to put my hook under both of the loops at the top of the stitch of any of these stitches. I'm going to do it a bit away from this yarn tail so I've got space to weave my ends in later. So now I'm going to lay my yarn across my hook like that, and I'm going to pull up a loop, and that's how you join a new colour. I'm then going to just tuck my tail over to the side there, and then hold my yarn as I normally would, and we're ready for round 2. So for round 2 we're going to be doing a popcorn stitch into each of these single crochets. So don't worry, it is 5 double crochet if you use US terms, or trebles if you use UK terms, and then we slip stitch to make them into this puffy popcorn here. So let's go through that. So we're going to start with a chain of 3, so yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So we've got 1, 2, 3 chains there. So now we're going to work 4 stitches into that same stitch we just did that chain there. So they are double crochets if you use US terms, or trebles if you use UK terms. So yarn over, put your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So let's do another stitch into that same space. So yarn over, put your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Do another one, yarn over, put our hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got, remember we count this chain as our first stitch, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches into that first stitch. So we're going to do one more double crochet if you use US terms, or treble if you use UK. So we yarn over, put a hook into the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's our 5 stitches. So now I'm going to take the tension off of my hook. I've let go, there's no tension on this hook, and I'm going to pull that hook off, and that stitch is just floating there. We're just leaving it floating there. We're not touching it, we're not pulling it, we're just leaving it as it is. And you're going to take your crochet hook and put it into the top, so the top of that starting chain, so in that space there. Whether you go under 1 thread like that or 2, it doesn't really matter. I prefer to go under 2, so just as long as your hook is in that top of that chain, that's all you need to do. Then you're going to put that loop back on your hook and get your tension back on your yarn and pull that loop through the top of that starting chain. What you can see is it's pushed those stitches up to make this popcorn stitch, is what it's called. So make that popcorn stitch. So now we're going to chain 2 before we make our next popcorn stitch. So you're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to make 5 double crochet US terms, treble UK terms into the next stitch. So you're going to yarn over, put your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That tail's getting in the way a little bit, just tuck that out of the way. So now I'm going to make 4 more double crochet into that same stitch. So that's 4 total, and then 5. They look like they're not going to fit, but they will. Remember, yarn is flexible. It will bend and squish itself to make space. So we've got our 5 stitches in that same stitch. So we're going to do the same again. So we're going to take our hook off of that loop. I'm not holding any tension here. Then I'm putting my hook into the top of that first stitch of that group of 5. So we've done 5 double crochets. You're putting your hook into the very first stitch, grabbing that loop, and then pulling it through that first stitch, just like that. And then chain 2, and we're going to repeat this all the way around. So let's do another popcorn. So we're going to do 5 double crochet into that next stitch. So there's our 5 stitches into 1 stitch. Take our hook off of that loop, put our hook into the top of that stitch, grab that loop we dropped and pull it through that stitch. Then we chain 2, and then we repeat. So you're going to repeat this all the way around. So you should end up with 8 popcorns for your 8 petals of your flower. So if we look here, we've got 8 petals of the flower, 8 popcorns, and they've got a chain 2 between them. So continue this all the way around, and then I'll show you how we finish off down here. Okay, we're here at the end of the round. I've done my last popcorn. I've got 8 total, and I've done a chain 2. And then to finish off this round, we're going to slip stitch into the top of our starting chain, but our starting chain is actually at the back of our work now, we can't see it here. So turn your work over the top like this, and that is our starting chain just there. I don't know if you can see, there's the bottom of the starting chain, it's going up there. So we're going to slip stitch into that starting chain there. So yarn over and pull through everything on your hook to do a slip stitch. I'm going to tighten it up nicely, and then snip our yarn. Don't forget to leave a long enough tail to weave in. If you don't know how to weave your ends in, I'll link it up here now. So there we are. So I've just done that slip stitch to finish off. So that's the flower part of our square. So now we're going to do these rounds to make it into a square. Okay, I've pulled up the yarn end from my next colour yarn, and I'm going to pick a space that is not near where we finished off, so we've got space to weave our ends in. I'm just going to pick this space here. We're not going into the stitches. What you're going to do is you're going to pull one popcorn and the other popcorn apart, and there's a chain space between your popcorns there. That is where you're going to be making all of your stitches in this round. We're only going to be making stitches into the spaces between the popcorns, not into the tops of these stitches. So I'm going to put my hook into that space there. I'm going to join our colour just like we did in the last round by laying the yarn across our hook and pulling that loop through. Tuck our tail off to one side, and then we're ready to start this row. So you're going to start this round with a chain of 3 that counts as our first double crochet. Remember, that's double crochet in US terms or treble in UK. Then I'm going to make 2 more double crochets into that same space. So there's our first double crochet and our second double crochet there. So I've got a group of 3 double crochet. So in the next space, so we're going to skip over this popcorn into this space, you're going to do 3 more double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to do the same again in the next space, but in the next space we're going to make a corner. So you're going to do 3 double crochet to start with into this space. So 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 double crochet there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull these stitches around, so I've got space to crochet into still, because we're going to turn this into a corner. So we're going to do our corners just like we were doing a normal granny square. So we're going to chain 2 and then do 3 double crochet into that same space. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, just like we do a corner in a normal granny square. If you've not made a normal granny square before, I will link it up here now. So we've got our corner here, you can see. So into the next space, we're just going to do 3 double crochet. So that's our first double crochet, our second double crochet, and our third double crochet. Oh, I've lost that stitch. Let's try that again. Now I'm doing the third double crochet. So I've done my third double crochet there. Then in the next space we make a corner. So in every other space we're making one of these corners with 2 groups of 3 double crochet separated by a chain 2. There's no chains between the groups along the side of the square, only in the corner spaces. So I'm going to do 3 double crochet like that, then chain 2 and do 3 more double crochet. And what you're going to do is you're going to continue this all the way around the square, alternating between doing just 3 double crochet or doing one of these corner groups of 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So you can see here we've got side, corner, side, corner. So that would be a side, that would be a corner, that would be a side. And then we'll end up back in this corner to finish off. So finish crocheting around here and I'll meet you back in this corner. Okay, so here I am at that very last corner. So I'm just going to push that group over so I've got space to make my stitches. I'm going to work 3 double crochet into that corner. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch into the top of this starting chain here to finish off. You could do an invisible join where you wouldn't end up with this little blip here from this slip stitch, and I'll link the tutorial for that up here now. So I'm just going to cut my yarn end and pull that tail through and pull it tight to make sure it's not going anywhere, and there is our popcorn flower square. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a popcorn flower square. I make crochet tutorials and upload them to YouTube every week, so if you'd like to see more from me then please subscribe and check out my other videos, especially the one that's on the screen now, because I think you'll probably enjoy it if you've liked this tutorial. Happy hooking!